Story number 1. Title: Turn Left for Terror, the GPS that led me to haunted grounds. The video opens with a grainy, night vision shot of an old highway. A solemn voice cuts through the static. Have you ever been lost? I mean, truly lost, not just in place, but in time? I introduce myself as Jason, and this is my story, an event that unfolded in the year 2001 that still haunts my dreams. The camera cuts to a younger me, sitting in a 90s sedan, the green glare of the GPS illuminating my face. I was driving home from college for the summer. It was supposed to be a straight shot back to the suburbs, but that all changed when my GPS malfunctioned, I recall, as the camera shows the GPS flickering before settling on a new route. The forgotten highway, it announced, in a voice that was almost too clear, too calm. The camera pans over a map showing a route that doesn't exist on any modern atlas. Along the way, I was compelled to stop at various points, each marked by the GPS with names like Lucy's Bend or the Hangman's Crossroads. At each stop, the GPS would recount a story, the spectral vision of a 1950s couple arguing before vanishing, a lone hitchhiker disappearing into thin air as I approached. I interviewed local historian, Martha, an older woman with a deep knowledge of the area's dark past. That highway was closed down in the 60s after a series of tragic accidents. They say it's cursed, she told me, her eyes wide with fear. As the documentary unfolds, it's revealed through various interviews with other witnesses that I wasn't alone. Sarah, a nurse, had a similar experience. I was walking back to my car after my shift when the GPS on my phone led me to that highway. I saw children playing in the road, but they weren't really there. Through a blend of reenactments and personal testimonies, the horror of these encounters comes to life. An auto mechanic named Rick explains how he found cars abandoned along the highway, their owners never seen again. The climax of the video features a harrowing nighttime investigation. Armed with cameras, I returned to the highway, documenting eerie sounds, ghostly apparitions, and the GPS repeatedly urging, "Turn left for terror." As dawn breaks, I summarize the chilling conclusions, that the highway acts as a bridge to the past, replaying its tragedies to unsuspecting travelers lured by their GPS. I was driving away as the sun came up. I narrate over footage of the sedan leaving the decrepit highway behind, but a part of me will always be stuck there, on that forgotten highway, lost in the echoes of the GPS's haunted directions. The screen fades to black with an invitation to the viewers. If you've ever encountered the forgotten highway, share your story. Help us uncover the truth behind the legends. The chilling outro leaves viewers with a sense of unease, prompting them to return for more stories from the depths of the unknown. Story number 2. Title: Crossroads Pact, the GPS Bargain. The screen flickers to life, showing the blurred edges of a dashboard camera. My voice cuts in, slightly distorted by the wind whipping through the car windows. My name is Alex, and what you're about to hear is not a script from a movie. It's my memory. It's my nightmare. The year was 2002, a time when I thought technology was there to guide us, not to ensnare us. The story unfolds as I recount that night, my hands tightly gripping the steering wheel of my old hatchback, following the robotic instructions of my GPS on a supposed shortcut home. The documentary style is raw, with fast cuts to black and white photos of crossroads and hazy figures. It started as a whisper, almost a glitch. The GPS diverting me from the main road onto a path overgrown and forgotten, I narrate, as the camera shows the GPS screen flashing to an unmarked road. The route leads me to a series of crossroads, each more desolate than the last. The GPS voice grows more commanding with each turn, no longer a machine but something sentient, something alive. With each set of directions, it's not just guiding me, it's choosing for me. Through interviews with a local priest, Father Thomas, and a paranormal expert, Dr. Lila Rodriguez, the documentary explores the dark history of these crossroads. They're places of decision, yes, but also of trade. Souls for wishes, Father Thomas explains, the crucifix around his neck gleaming against his black cassock. Footage rolls of a group of friends I made after the incident, all too young, all too curious. Jess, a budding journalist, shows the blog where she tracked down stories similar to mine. Mike, an IT guy, who can't explain the GPS algorithm that led us there. Tara, a skeptic, until that night. The climax is a chilling reenactment of what we saw at the final crossroad. The GPS tells me, your destination is ahead, but in front of me is nothing but an empty space and the faint outline of something ancient and sinister. A low voice from the GPS whispers, "What do you desire?" I narrate over the scene. It wasn't just the place. The device knew things I never told anyone. It promised a shortcut, but it led me to a choice I never wanted to make. In a gripping finale, I'm seen challenging the GPS, refusing to make a pact, and as I do, the machine begins to fail, its screen flickering with static as if it's angry. When I finally reach home, I'm not the same. I was driving away from the crossroads, but the crossroads weren't done with me. The video concludes with an open question to the viewers. Have you ever made a deal at the crossroads of your life? What did you trade? Encouraging them to share their experiences. The documentary's eerie blend of personal testimony, spiritual insight, and palpable fear leaves viewers with the terrifying possibility that the next time they follow their GPS, it might just lead them to a crossroad of their own. Story number 3. Title: Phantom Traffic Jam, The Lost Highway of Souls. The screen flickers with static as an old-fashioned GPS materializes in the frame, its screen glowing ominously. My voice, tinged with a haunted undertone, begins the tale. I'm Nathan, and I've driven through the shadows of the afterlife. This is the night I encountered the phantom traffic jam. It was a late evening in 2003, and I found myself driving through a sleepy suburb in the United States, following my GPS's instructions to avoid the late rush hour. The narration pauses as historical footage of the suburb from the early 20th century plays, showing a bustling community, now just echoes of history. My GPS showed a massive delay, red lines streaking across the screen. I expected construction or an accident. I wish that's all it had been. I recall the dashboard camera footage showing the beginning of an unnatural fog. As I approach the supposed jam, the scene shifts to a chilling reenactment. The street is empty, then suddenly, vintage cars begin to flicker into existence, their forms hazy like mirages from a bygone era. I step out, the camera following, and approach the line of cars. The passengers within are pale, their eyes hollow. They're dressed in fashions long out of date, and none of them speak, they just wait, as if anticipating a signal to move on. The documentary cuts to interviews with local historian Emily, who speaks of a catastrophic event from decades past where a bridge collapsed, and many were lost to the river below. They say on some nights, you can still hear the screeching tires, the breaking glass, she whispers, her eyes wide with the fear of a memory she never lived. Through the lens of the camera, I meet Jacob, a young mechanic who claims his grandfather's car was found empty, his fate unknown, after that fateful night. He's still out there, waiting in that jam. Jacob's voice breaks as he holds up a faded photograph of a man beside a classic automobile. As the night deepens, the reenactment shows me, the protagonist, witnessing the cars beginning to move, crossing an unseen bridge as they fade away. The GPS suddenly goes silent, its guidance no longer necessary for those lost souls. The closing sequence of the video features a shot of the empty road, the fog cleared, the silence deafening. I was driving into the night, I narrate, but they were driving into eternity. The documentary ends with a somber note, asking the audience, have you ever seen something on the road that couldn't be real? Have you ever heard the whispers of the past while in the driver's seat? It invites viewers to share their own spectral experiences. With its eerie blend of personal recollection, local lore, and visceral reenactments, the documentary leaves viewers with a spine-chilling question. What if your next traffic jam is not of this world? Story number 4. Title: The Detour Through Time, Hauntings of the Forgotten Crossroads. The documentary opens with a shot of a flickering streetlight as dusk encroaches upon a quiet suburb. A voice, steady but tinged with an undercurrent of fear, breaks the silence. "I'm Alex," I begin, the scene cross-fading to my face, illuminated by the dashboard's glow. The road I took that night was supposed to be a shortcut, but it led me through centuries of buried secrets. My story unfolds in 2004, the screen showing snippets of an ordinary GPS as it calmly suggests a detour through the heart of the suburb. As the reenactment plays, viewers see me, a 25-year-old delivery driver, curious and unwittingly on the brink of the unknown. The GPS's voice takes on a life of its own, its tone morphing, becoming almost human as it guides me not just through streets, but through the veils of time. "Turn left for terror," it coaxes. Each detour thrusts me into a different era, a colonial town where whispers of witch trials stir the air, a roaring 20s speakeasy with specters for patrons, a desolate 50s suburb where the disappearance of a local girl remains unsolved. The narration pauses as the documentary presents interviews. Sarah, a young historian, delves into the witch trials, presenting chilling evidence of innocent blood spilled. Mark, a psychologist, discusses the collective trauma imprinted on places of great sorrow. Each testimony interlaces with my own harrowing experience. As my car becomes a vessel through these temporal hauntings, I encounter the spirits trapped within each period. The camera captures the growing horror on my face as I'm forced to witness a young woman accused of witchcraft, her pleading eyes meeting mine before she vanishes. In another time, the flicker of jazz and laughter turns to screams as a speakeasy fire traps partygoers behind illusory flames. And in the quiet 50s neighborhood, the ghost of a little girl named Lily implores me to find her lost doll, the symbol of her unsolved case. The documentary takes a darker turn as the GPS leads me to an old graveyard where the spirits seem to converge. It's here, under a blood moon, that I come face to face with the entity within the GPS, a timeless wraith that feeds on unresolved histories and the living who bear witness to them. Dramatizations show me performing a spontaneous ritual, the details whispered by the benevolent spirits, to break the cycle and release the wraith's hold on the temporal crossroads. As the first light of dawn breaks, the camera shows me, exhausted but alive, the GPS now silent beside me. The road is just a road again, and the towns are back in their respective places in history. I conclude my tale. I was driving through time, chasing shadows of the past, trying to set things right. I never expected to become a part of history myself. The video closes with an eerie montage of the locations I visited, now peaceful in daylight, as the voiceover invites viewers to share if they've ever taken an unexpected detour into the unknown. The screen fades to black, the last words lingering. Sometimes the darkest detours are not on any map, and the true horror is what you might bring back with you. Story number 5. Title: Cemetery Circuit, Navigating the Restless Dead. The screen fades from black to the dashboard of a car. The GPS screen is lit up, an illuminated guide in the dark of a quiet suburban night. I was driving home from a friend's house. My voice is heard, an edge of hesitance betraying the calm I'm trying to project. It was 2005, a year when I trusted technology more than superstition. The documentary style is intimate, a personal journey. The car's headlights catch glimpses of tombstones as I recount. The GPS rerouted me that night, through roads I never knew existed, all leading to the gates of different cemeteries. I'm identified as Emily, a young graphic designer with an interest in photography, a hobby that inadvertently captures more than just memories. As the journey progresses, viewers see me, through reenactments, stopping at various cemeteries as the GPS insists with eerie insistence, its mechanical voice tinged with a spectral echo. At each graveyard, the spirit within the GPS, a voice that becomes increasingly familiar, narrates the life and demise of one grave it leads me to. The first is a poet whose words never saw the light of day, her whispers carried in the wind. The second, a soldier whose valor remained unrecognized, his silhouette marching in the distance. And with each story, the spirit's own tale begins to unravel. Intercut with my recollections are expert interviews, a paranormal investigator, a local historian, and a tech-savvy skeptic, each adding layers to the narrative web. They speak of patterns in the paranormal, the history of the land, and the psychological effects of ghostly encounters. The documentary's atmosphere grows heavier as the GPS leads me to the grave of a child whose life was cut tragically short. The spirit's voice cracks with emotion, revealing its connection to the child. "It happened to me," the spirit confides through the GPS. "I was their protector in life, and now in death, I watch over them." As the night deepens, I find myself at the center of a ghostly vigil, apparitions of the deceased surrounding me, their stories merging into a cacophony of anguish and longing. The reenactment shows me, camera in hand, capturing fleeting images of the specters, each photo uncovering more of the GPS spirit's unfinished business. The climax reveals the GPS spirit as a former gravedigger, bound to the cemeteries by a promise to guard the unquiet dead who cannot find peace. A tearful encounter with the gravedigger's own neglected grave breaks the cycle, as I, driven by compassion, clean the headstone and acknowledge his forgotten duty. The resolution comes with dawn, the first rays of sunlight scattering the shadows. The GPS falls silent, its screen flickering and fading to black. I was driving away from ghosts, I reflect, but I was carrying with me a story that begged to be told. The video ends on my silhouette against the morning light, the voiceover inviting the audience to ponder the spirits that may linger in the places we overlook, and the lost stories they yearn to share. A final image of a serene cemetery fades to black, and the screen holds a momentary pause before the credits roll, the stillness a stark contrast to the tales of the night. Remember, the voiceover intones as the darkness lifts, some destinations are more than just points on a map, they're echoes of souls waiting to be heard. Story number 6. Title: The Bridge to Nowhere, Crossings into the Abyss. The camera focuses on an old bridge enveloped in mist. As my voice begins to narrate, I was on a road trip in 2006, alone, with nothing but my trusty old car and a GPS for company. The scene then shifts to a younger me, driving, the GPS fixed to the dashboard, its screen glowing ominously in the dim light. As the documentary unfolds, viewers are taken on a journey through my eyes, a young software engineer named Alex with a penchant for exploration. The reenactment shows my car approaching a bridge that doesn't appear on any digital map. The GPS urges, turn left onto the bridge, its robotic tone seemingly eager, pressing. With each crossing, I am led to a different spectral realm, an echo of a past tragedy. The camera cuts to a sepia-toned scene as I find myself in the middle of a war-torn landscape, the bridge having transported me back in time. Shadowy figures move in the distance, their cries carried by the wind. The investigation into my experiences is layered with interviews from a diverse group. There's Jessica, a local librarian and historian, who provides background on the bridge's origins, Michael, a young paranormal blogger, offering theories on the supernatural, and Sarah, a medium, who senses the spirits that cling to these forgotten passages. With each narrative, the horror intensifies. The bridges act as portals, a tragic jump through time and space. One leads to the scene of a lover's leap, their apparitions replaying their final, fatal embrace. Another transports me to a site of a colonial-era massacre, the air heavy with the sorrow of the lost. The documentary style is raw, the filming techniques unflinching as they capture the eerie environments. Night vision cameras reveal shadowy figures that seem to watch me, and EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, recordings play, capturing disembodied voices whispering, "Cross and join us." As I recount the events, the chilling realization dawns that each bridge is a monument to collective suffering, a threshold between the living and the dead. It happened to me, I say, my voice a whisper, I was walking where the forgotten ones tread. The climax occurs at the final bridge, an archaic structure where the air itself feels charged with despair. Here, I encounter a malevolent force, a guardian of the threshold, demanding a toll of the living. The reenactment shows a spectral figure emerging from the mist, its form barely human, its eyes hollow pits of darkness. With quick thinking and a whispered prayer, I offer a token of remembrance for the lost souls, appeasing the entity. The bridge begins to crumble as I make a frantic escape back to reality, the GPS falling silent, its screen cracking as if refusing to be a conduit for the damned. The resolution is contemplative. I sit by the light of day, the bridge now just ruins in the background. I was driving away from the bridges to nowhere, I reflect, but the memories of those lost crossings will forever haunt the byways of my mind. The documentary ends with a sunset shot of the bridge, the silhouette hauntingly beautiful and sinister. The voiceover leaves the audience with a final, chilling thought: beware the bridges you cross and the paths you choose, for some roads lead to places from which return is not guaranteed. Credits roll over a slow, panning shot of the now tranquil bridge, an invitation for the viewer to ponder the thin veil between our world and the ones that lay beyond. Story number 7. Title: End of the Road, The Lost Souls of the Unfinished Paths. As the screen flickers to life, a misty road unfurls before the viewer, and my voice cuts through the silence. I was seeking a shortcut that fateful night in 2007, trusting my GPS to guide me through the suburbs labyrinth. The scene transitions to a younger version of me, Lucas, an inquisitive freelance journalist, driving into the night. The documentary weaves a narrative of a chilling investigation as I recall being led onto roads that mapmakers had forgotten, roads with no end, each one abandoned mid-construction. The GPS becomes a character of its own, its voice strangely sympathetic as it tells tales of workers who met their demise, their spirits wandering, tethered to the asphalt graves. We meet Emily, the young urban explorer, whose footage reveals shadowy figures in hard hats at twilight, and Kevin, a construction foreman, who solemnly recounts accidents and inexplicable deaths that plagued the sites. Clara, a psychic medium, walks the unfinished roads, her body shuddering as she makes contact with the unseen. The horror unfolds through night vision scenes of me, following the GPS's directions, stopping at each dead end. It happened to me, I whisper into the camera. I was walking the paths of the restless. EVP sessions capture the anguished voices of the deceased, speaking names and dates, begging for recognition, for peace. Each road has its story: a bridge collapse that claimed several workers, a tunnel cave-in, and a stretch of highway where a young laborer fell to his death. The spirits communicate their need for help, for closure. I pore over old news clippings, connecting the spirits' clues to forgotten tragedies. The tension reaches its peak at a road that disappears into a deep forest. The GPS beckons me forward, but the path is choked by overgrowth. Here, the spirit of a young man named Michael reveals his tragic tale through a series of spectral images and chilling EVPs. He had been buried alive when the earth gave way beneath an excavator. With the help of Clara, Emily, and Kevin, I conduct a makeshift ceremony to honor these lost workers. We lay flowers, share stories of their lives, and Clara leads a poignant prayer. The documentary captures an ethereal light show, orbs and streaks that dance around us, a visual testament to the presence of the departed. As we reach the documentary's conclusion, I stand at the beginning of the once haunted road, now quiet. I was driving away, I recount, with the hope that our acknowledgement had given them the strength to find their way home. The screen fades to black with my final narrative thought: roads are meant to lead us somewhere, but some journeys end abruptly, leaving behind souls yearning for completion. The end credits scroll over aerial shots of the roads, serene during the day but still echoing the quiet despair of the spirits. And the final frame is an invitation to return for the next episode, with a glimpse of an even darker road, promising viewers another journey into the unknown. Story number 8. Title: Echoes of the Crash, the haunting chorus of Highway 18. The screen is black, and then faint, static noise begins to emerge. A solemn voice, my voice, cuts through. I was just trying to get home. The blackness gives way to a dashcam view, the road illuminated by the car's headlights. I never expected my GPS to become a gateway to the past. The documentary starts in 2008, with me, Alex, a sound engineer with a penchant for the paranormal. The video transitions between present-day interviews and past dashcam footage as I recount the night my GPS led me down Highway 18, a stretch infamous for its tragic past. I introduce Maya, a local historian, whose knowledge of the accidents brings depth to the story. Through her, we learn that each crash left an indelible mark on the community. Then there's Jackson, a first responder who carries the weight of these tragedies in his tired eyes. He describes the scenes he could never forget. But it's the sounds that haunt the narrative. As I drove closer to each designated point on the GPS, the normal commands were replaced with the echoes of screeching tires, shattering glass, and the final, crushing silence that followed. It happened to me. I narrate over the chilling audio. The past came alive through my speakers. The investigation deepens as I team up with a local paranormal investigator, Rachel, and a tech-savvy friend, Eli. Together, we delve into the recorded sounds, isolating voices and cries that shouldn't be there. Our nighttime excursions are filled with eerie recordings and electromagnetic spikes that suggest something more than just echoes. One sight stands out, the curve in the road where a family perished. As we approach, the GPS plays a lullaby, abruptly cut by the calamity of their collision. A spectral image of a car appears in the headlights beam, a ghostly reenactment that leaves us speechless. The documentary style blurs into found footage as my camera catches the flicker of figures near the wreckage. Interviews with the victims' families provide a heart-wrenching backdrop to the supernatural phenomena, suggesting a residual haunting trapped in a loop of their final moments. Eli manages to interface the GPS with audio analysis software, tracing the origins of the sounds. It leads us to a climactic night where we attempt to communicate with the spirits. With Rachel's guidance, we conduct an EVP session, asking the spirits for permission to help them find peace. Through a mix of technology and spiritual rites, we witness a phenomenon, sounds of reconciliation and departure, a sense of release captured on video. I was driving home, the final narration begins, and for the first time, the road was silent. The documentary closes with dawn breaking over Highway 18. The sun's rays seem to cleanse the tarmac, and I offer a closing thought. Sometimes the echoes of tragedy are so loud, they pierce the veil between worlds. As the credits roll, the screen splits between the peaceful road now and the black and white images of past accident scenes, a silent homage to the lives lost, with a final note that reads, "For those who found their rest, and those still seeking it." Story number 9. Title, Root of the Damned, Whispers of Forgotten Battles. The screen flickers to life, casting a dim glow as it begins with an unsettling voice. It started with a verse, an omen dressed in rhyme. My face, framed by the flickering light of a candle, fills the frame as I introduce myself. My name is Ethan, and what happened to me in 2009 has haunted me ever since. The story unfolds in the suburbs of the United States, a landscape dotted with the echoes of historical strife. I was a curious college student then, majoring in history with a minor in the macabre. The documentary blends interviews with past footage captured on a shaky handheld camera, a testament to the nightmare I stumbled upon. I recount the first incident, driving late at night when my GPS detoured me from my usual route home. Turn left for terror, it whispered in a voice not quite mechanical, not quite human. The GPS led me to the outskirts where the shadows of old battlegrounds lay. At each site, it recited poetry, verses that spoke of violence and the agony of soldiers long dead. The investigation into these events introduces viewers to Lena, a linguist who helps decipher the cryptic messages, and Marcus, an urban explorer who knows the haunted locales like the back of his hand. Together, we uncover the hidden history of each site, a Revolutionary War skirmish here, a Civil War massacre there. The GPS, possessed by the specters of these battles, guides me to bear witness. Skeptics and believers alike weigh in. Dr. Cole, a professor of paranormal studies, suggests a link between technology and the supernatural, while Detective Abrams offers a more grounded explanation, though he can't quite account for the unexplainable occurrences. With each site I visit, I feel the weight of history and its restless spirits. I was walking on sacred ground. I narrate over the footage of a fog-shrouded field, the murmurs of battle faint but distinct. Night vision captures silhouettes moving in formations long since forgotten by textbooks. A breakthrough occurs when a riddle leads us to a hidden mass grave, the resting place of unnamed soldiers. Their story is one of betrayal and sorrow, and through the GPS, they demand recognition, their voices channeling through the device in a chilling chorus. An eerie night investigation brings us face to face with the paranormal. We set up cameras, digital recorders, and I speak the verses back to the darkness. The air turns cold, the equipment malfunctions, and for a moment, the past breaches the present, gunshots, cannon fire, screams. Then, just as quickly, silence. As I finish the story, the video shifts back to me, older, wiser, and visibly shaken. The root of the damned led me to the heart of history's anguish, I say. The documentary ends with a call to remember those lost, not as footnotes of history, but as voices that still yearn to be heard. The final image is a GPS screen, roots traced like scars across the land, with the whispered verses fading into the static that started it all. The screen goes black, leaving the audience with the lingering question, are we ever truly alone on the roads we travel? Story number 10. Title: The Sunset Drive, Twilight's Vanishing Trail. The screen splinters into a collage of dusky horizons and the faint hum of an engine. A somber voice chills the air. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the journey into the unknown commenced. It's my voice, narrating from the present day, recounting events from a decade past. I introduce myself as Harper, a graphic designer with an affection for night photography. My tale unfolds through a patchwork of interviews, reenactments, and authentic footage captured on my old, trusty camcorder, imbuing the documentary with a haunting, retrospective quality. In 2010, I discovered a peculiar feature in my GPS. It activated only during twilight, leading me through the winding suburbs to locations steeped in unresolved mysteries. Each Sunset Drive became a haunting puzzle, I recall, where the missing left only whispers. The documentary stitches together the investigations led by my friends, Aiden, an aspiring detective whose fervor for the missing persons cases knew no bounds, and Elise, a tech-savvy college friend whose interest in the paranormal provided a different lens to view the occurrences. The narrative spins a chilling web, connecting the dots between the twilight disappearances. Each location I'm led to reveals a fragment of a larger, more sinister pattern: a park bench where a young musician was last seen, a bridge overlooking the spot where a jogger vanished without a trace, and a secluded grove known for whispered legends of cult rituals. Interviews with local experts and historians, like Mrs. Alder, a librarian who recalls past oddities, deepen the mystery. An unnerving pattern emerges, and the term Sunset Drive becomes synonymous with unexplainable dread. A pattern of the vanishing starts to emerge with each sunset-driven destination I reach. I was walking in the fading light. I narrate over the eerie footage, where shadows play tricks and reality seems to twist. Night vision flickers to life, capturing an anomaly in the grove, fleeting figures dancing in the twilight. The climax of the documentary features an intense evening where Aiden, Elise, and I perform a stakeout at the next predicted location. Cameras and recording devices are set, capturing the chilling phenomenon as day turns to night. The sunset brings an oppressive stillness, and the GPS springs to life, guiding me to the heart of the grove. There, amidst ancient trees, a chilling scene unfolds. Personal items form a circle around an old, weathered statue, an apparent altar. The air is thick with the scent of old, extinguished candles. The whispers of those who disappeared fill our ears, captured on our recorders, detailing their final, terrified moments. In a heart-pounding sequence, a shadowy figure emerges from the woods, causing a frenzied chase that ends with Aiden tackling a suspect, a local man with tales of devil worship and sacrifices to Twilight deities. His ramblings paint a gruesome picture, connecting the vanished to forbidden rituals. The closing scenes return to me, Harper, older, with a resolved expression. The Sunset Drive took us through the shrouded boundary between day and night, where some were claimed by the darkness, I say with a somber tone. The documentary ends with a cautionary note: the GPS no longer guides me, but the mystery of the Twilight remains. The final shot is a sundown vista, the GPS on my dashboard, silent now, as the haunting question lingers: what lies in wait as the light fades? The screen fades to black, leaving viewers to contemplate the veil between light and darkness, and the horrors it may conceal.